we have an interview for you that is amazing. It is with Joshua Quarles. He is the investigative reporter for The Nation. He wrote the piece, When the Army Uses Enhanced Interrogation on an American Soldier. Joshua, welcome to the Young Turks.
Good to be with you, Cenk.
It's great to have you here. I want to start, Joshua, with Specialist John Town. Can you tell me what his case was, how you first ran across him, and what happened there?
Sure. Well, his story was the first part of a three-part series that I've done in these fraudulent personality disorder discharges. It's a mental illness that the Army is basically making up for soldiers who were physically wounded in Iraq and Afghanistan. It's a way to slide them out of the combat zone, put them back home, and deny them disability and medical care for the rest of their life. John Town was a soldier who I met a few years ago. He was wounded by a rocket while serving in Ramadi, Iraq, won a Purple Heart, but then when it came time to get him benefits, they said, oh no, he wasn't wounded. His deafness after the explosion was actually caused by a pre-existing personality disorder. And Cenk, you know all about how in the insurance game, pre-existing conditions can mean the end of benefits. It's the same in the military. If they can link your wounds to a pre-existing condition, you don't get medical care that you would get if you had that serious injury. You don't get disability pay. And because these soldiers discharged with personality disorder didn't complete their contract, they actually have to give back a slice of their signing bonus so that soldiers like John Town on their last day of service are given a bill and told they now owe the Army thousands of dollars.
It is literally unbelievable. I can't believe that our Army would do that to people. But it's not just John Town, as you found out, of course. How did they attribute things like missing a part of your leg to a pre-existing personality disorder?
Yeah, you know, soldiers call me by the dozens, and they ask me those questions. How can they say that the shrapnel embedded in my skin came from personality disorder? And at this point, I simply have to tell them it's not supposed to make sense. It's just flatly a scam, in plain language. And, you know, in part two of the series, I interviewed military doctors who talked about this, who talked about the pressure on them to purposely misdiagnose wounded soldiers. One told the story that you just mentioned of a soldier coming back with a chunk missing from his leg when his superiors pressured him to diagnose that as personality disorder. He said, that's it, I quit.
It's unreal. It's unreal. So before we get to Sgt Chuck Luther, the question that pops up naturally, Joshua, is why? Who ordered this, and what was their purpose?
Well, that's a good question, and I think it's a sign that more investigation by higher authorities is definitely needed. But there are a few benefits to the military right off the bat. First of all, taking the Pentagon figures and figures from a Harvard University study, we're looking at a savings to the military of about $12.5 billion in disability and medical care. So that's one component, the finances. The second is the PR aspect of it. You know, already we're looking at 36,000 soldiers who were wounded in action and over 5,000 who've been killed in the Iraq and Afghanistan wars. If they take all the soldiers that are being flushed out with this phony personality disorder and they suddenly count them as legitimately wounded, you'd see those numbers skyrocket, and that would just increase the pressure to end these two wars.
Do you have a sense of what years that they were doing this in?
Oh, that's part of the shock. You know, I've been working on this story for about 4 years now, and I get calls from people in Vietnam saying, this happened to me. I can't believe it's still happening.
Unbelievable. All right, now, if you thought all of that was, as I've said now for the third time, unbelievable, wait till you get a load of Sgt Chuck Luther's story. Joshua, what happened there?
Well, Luther is kind of the answer to an age-old question. So many of the veterans groups have been wondering with these soldiers, what happens if the soldier resists? What happens if he says, hey, that's ridiculous? My deafness didn't come from personality disorder. It came from the rocket. What happens if they don't sign the papers? Well, with Sgt Chuck Luther, he was wounded by mortar fire while serving at Camp Taji in Iraq. And he slammed his head, developed severe traumatic brain injury that led to headaches so severe that vision would shut off in one of his eyes. The other eye, he said, felt like someone was stabbing him in the eye with a scissors. And when he went in for medical care, and they tried to tell him that, oh, your blindness is caused by personality disorder, he said, no, that's ridiculous. And the response was, as you keep mentioning, it's incredible. What they did was they declared him a suicide risk because he said, boy, this pain is so awful, like, I wish I were dead. He explained, this was just a matter of speech, but it was an excuse to whisk him away into a closet where they held him for over a month under enforced sleep deprivation, keeping the lights on all night, blasting heavy metal music at him, Megadeth songs all through the night. And after a month of being held at armed guard in this closet, he was willing to sign anything they wanted him to. And they brought him to the commander. The commander said, hey, if you sign these papers saying that you were ill before coming to Iraq with a pre-existing personality disorder, we'll let you straight home. And he said, okay, I'll sign. He signed those papers. They whisked him back to Fort Hood, and that's when they let him know. No disability pay for the rest of your life, no long-term medical care, and by the way, you didn't complete your contract, so you need to give us back a portion of that signing bonus. Here's a bill for $1,500.
Yeah, support the troops. I think that was the ribbon that I saw on so many cars throughout the war. Support the troops. This is how we do it, right? So what's, of course, the particularly striking part of the story is we use the same treatment on him that we did on a lot of detainees with the sleep deprivation and the Metallica songs, et cetera, et cetera. Somebody's got to get punished for that. I mean, first of all, we shouldn't be doing it to detainees as torture, let alone doing it to our own soldiers, let alone doing it to our own soldiers who have been wounded in battle. It doesn't get any more sickening than that. So has there been any culpability here? Has anyone investigated this and said, all right, here are the doctors and the commanders who ordered this, and here's the price they're going to have to pay for that?
There hasn't been anyone held accountable for anything in this entire scandal, and that accounts for all of the 22,600 soldiers who have been discharged with this personality disorder since the war began in 2001. Nobody's been held accountable. And, my earlier reporting in parts 1 and 2 of this 3-part series led to congressional hearings. And out of that hearing, President Barack Obama, then a senator, put forward a bill to halt these personality disorder discharges. But people didn't know about the bill. People didn't really understand what exactly was happening to these tens of thousands of soldiers. And the bill went nowhere. Not only did the discharges continue, but nobody who engaged in them was held responsible.
So where do we stand now? I mean, that was the initial political response. Now, of course, that senator from Illinois is the president. And we're talking to Joshua Kors. He's an investigative reporter for The Nation. You can see more about this, of course, at thenation.com. So, Joshua, where do we stand as far as, is there anyone proposing the bill? Has Obama said anything about it?
It's the strangest thing. In November, Senator Kit Bond, the Republican from Missouri, who really was Obama's right-hand man at every step in this process of trying to halt these discharges, he and a group of concerned senators got together and wrote him a letter saying basically, hey, we're still concerned about these fraudulent discharges that are going on. what are you going to do? The White House responded with a statement of its own saying that it was still concerned. But right now, that concern has not met action. And I think there are many veterans out there who've been really frustrated by that. We'll see where it goes. Obama's bill did get softened into an amendment that required the Pentagon to study this phenomenon. George Bush signed a law including that amendment, and the Pentagon went ahead and made that study. But, Cenk, if you can imagine, the study came back, and they determined after a thoughtful and thorough review that not a single misdiagnosis had occurred and not a single soldier had been wrongly discharged.
Right. So, of course, the guys who were blinded by mortar fire, well, they had a personality disorder, obviously. The guys that were missing parts of their legs, well, it was an obvious personality disorder. Joshua, I don't know why you can't understand that. If we put you in a closet and didn't let you sleep for a month and played loud music, you'd probably get that they're right about that.
It's the strangest thing, and you think that just one or two interviews with those soldiers would make it obvious how bizarre claiming that a problem with their personality was the source of all these ailments. But, Cenk, I did a touch more reporting, and I found out that in this study, just like the previous study about personality disorder that was conducted by the Army's Surgeon General, not a single person was interviewed. Not one soldier, not one soldier's family. And so you have this quote-unquote thoughtful and thorough review in which no one was interviewed. It's not too much of a surprise to the veterans who were looking on that they determined that no error had been committed.
Yay, support the troops. All right, now, finally, look, by the way, those $12 billion that we are, quote-unquote, saving by declaring these guys with personality disorders, sometimes in the case of Sgt Chuck Luther, they almost try to drive him crazy so that they can say, see, he was crazy beforehand. And the $12 billion they save is wasted every single year on weapon systems that we don't even need. But that, no, people get paid off of that. That's how you support the troops, by supporting defense contractors. When the troops are actually hurt, screw them. Now, look, the politicians don't respond to this, and now the government, the federal government, led by Obama, still wants to save that money, right? And my next question is, how about the media? I mean, obviously you did this for thenation.com. You got it on your website, joshuakors.com. But how's the rest of the media responding to this incredible story?
Well, Bob Woodruff and I made part one into a Nightline piece, part of a series that won the Peabody Award. So it got out there. I know that some of the entertainment industry has pitched in as well. The story was made into a Law and Order episode that I think caught a lot of eyeballs and raised a lot of attention. But I think the sad part is that all these years after Johntown's story first came out in my Nation piece, still there are a lot of people that don't know the phrase personality disorder and don't know that there's so many wounded soldiers coming back from Iraq and Afghanistan who are looking now at a lifetime without medical care.
I guess what I don't understand is why a story like Walter Reed takes off, as it should, right? The deplorable conditions of our Walter Reed Hospital for the troops. But a story like this doesn't catch on fire in Washington and people demand change. Can you see what the difference is?
Well, you know, the reporters for Walter Reed, that series was just spectacular. That was published in the Washington Post and got a huge response from a huge audience. I think naturally, when you have established reporters who are writing for such a large publication, you're going to get that immediate response. This is something that's going to take more of a groundswell and more of a response from Americans who hear the story and want to pass it on to their friends, to their representatives in Congress, to their family to get the word out.
All right. Well, for everybody who listened to this interview, you can find out more at thenation.com and also at joshuakors, KORS.com. Joshua, thank you so much for sharing this incredible story with us on the Young Turks.
Good to speak with you, Cenk.